everyone, my name is Allyson Taylor. I am a proud 6th grade student at Wendell Magnet Middle School. Today I have the most important person in my community. Her name is Miss Estella D. Patterson. She is the Chief of the Raleigh Police Department. It is an honor to be with you today, Miss Patterson.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I am too. So I have a few questions that piques my interest, and I'm sure of the audience as well. So let's get right into it. The first question is, why did you decide to become a police officer, and did you have any goals to be one as a child?
Wow, that's a great question. I will tell you first and foremost, I did not have any goals of being a police officer or even a police chief when I was a child. In fact, I thought I was going to either be a professor, like at a university, or I thought I was going to be a lawyer. What made me decide to be a police officer was when I was in college in my undergrad studies. I went to UNC Charlotte, and in my last year, I needed some credits to graduate. So I said, I'm going to take something that's easy. I'm going to take criminal justice. And so I got in a criminal justice class, and I started learning about the law, started learning about structure, government, and that really, really piqued my interest. And I said, wow, this could be super cool. So I started learning more about policing and the work that police officers do. And then one day I met a young lady who was at a job fair. She worked for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, and she was recruiting. And I looked at her, she was a woman of color, she looked really sharp in her uniform, she spoke well, and I said, wow, like I'm impressed by her, she inspires me. And so she was the one that kind of got me into it, taught me a lot more about policing. And from that, I just said, yeah, I think I can do this. I'll make a decision to do it.
Wow, that is amazing. The next question that we have for you, you sort of kind of answered that question as well. So what specific college or police academy did you attend, and what are the prerequisites that are needed?
Okay, so to be a police officer in North Carolina, all you need is a high school diploma. But I had my college education, so I graduated from my undergrad studies, and then from there, to be a police officer, you have to go through a police academy. And so the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department in Charlotte, North Carolina was hiring, and they have their own police academy. So I went through their academy. It was very rigorous, 6 months of training, had to learn to do everything. I had never fired a firearm before, shot a weapon, didn't know how to do that, had to learn how to do that. Had to learn how to drive like a police officer. You wouldn't think that a police officer has to learn to drive, right? I mean, everybody knows how to drive. You get from point A to point B, but we have to learn a certain way to drive, more defensive driving because of the people that you got to deal with on a regular basis. So we have to go through a lot of training. And then there's a lot of academics. Like, you got to know the law. You got to know what the statutes are, what the elements of a crime are. You got to know when you can search somebody and when you can't. That is such a huge part of the work that we do. So all of that came through my training at the police academy. And then after I finished the police academy, a couple of years into my career, I had the honor of going to the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. And so that taught me even more skills, more so skills on how to, like leadership skills, I guess is probably the best way to sum it up. But all of that has really culminated in the training that I have received as a police officer.
So, at an estimate, how much rules and regulations did you have to learn?
How many rules and regulations? So I don't know the exact number of how many North Carolina general statutes there are, but if I had to guess, because we get a big book with all of them in there, I mean, there's hundreds. There are probably about like 1,000 that between general statutes, between ordinances that are in a city, federal law, I mean, there's a lot on the books. Now, you don't have to memorize and know them all because you're not going to use them all, but the common ones that you do have to know and learn them.
That is a lot.
It is.
The next question that I have for you is, over the time as a chief, how many people have you saved?
Have I saved?
Yes.
Wow, now that's a loaded question because when you say saved, I'm thinking, I don't know, like maybe gotten out of a ticket or helped to get out of trouble. I mean, I don't know. I would say how many people I have helped in a situation that they're in, maybe a bad situation. I would say probably, a dozen or so people, only because I've only been a chief 2.5 years here in Raleigh, and my role isn't where I'm on the streets every day dealing with people. Now, as a police officer, if you'd asked me that question, the number would have been very high. But as a police chief, I'm more of an administrator, so my job is to run the police department, to go to a lot of meetings, which I'm tired of going to meetings, but that just is part of my job, and just working with the community. I'm out in the community a lot, so I'm not on the streets dealing with people necessarily and the problems. Now, many people will email me or call me with a situation they have, and then I would try my best to help them. I would have one of my deputy chiefs or one of my officers, one of my captains or somebody like that help them.
So when they receive those calls, so chiefs answer them and then they give them to the police or any deputy, right?
Yeah, somewhat. So somebody may reach out to me and say, hey, Chief Patterson, I was involved in a wreck the other day and I got the wreck report and the information's not correct. Or I can't get a copy of the wreck report. How can I need to get my car repaired, insurance is down my neck, how do I get that? And so I will take that and I will forward it to one of my officers to say, hey, find out what's going on with this, help her get a copy of that report, fix the report if it's incorrect so that this person can kind of be on their way and get what they need to be successful.
Wow, either way, that is a lot of people that you have saved. The next question that I have for you is, over the years we have experienced and heard of school shootings in different states that are devastating and heartbreaking. Since you are a chief of police, have you ever experienced a school shooting and what are your thoughts on them?
Wow, yes, I have. Not directly, like I wasn't involved, but when I was in Charlotte, I was a deputy chief of police, or an assistant chief of police, and we had a shooting at UNC Charlotte, my alumni, my school. It was a mass shooting where the individual killed several people. I don't remember the exact number, but it was widespread panic on the campus. And they were a small police department, so they had to reach out to us, the larger police department, and we had to send a lot of officers there to help out with the situation, to stabilize it. It required us having to evacuate everybody from the school. We had the suspect contained in one area, so we had to go through methodically, find him, and get him in custody. And then from there, we had to be sure that there was nobody else. So then it meant going to every single dorm, every single building on the campus, checking it out, making sure it's secure, making sure there was nobody that was harmed. Of course, we had a lot of parents who were concerned, that were calling, wanting to know the status of their student. So we had to do a reunification area where families could be reunited with their loved ones. And so it's really a big deal when we have these kind of incidents. You know, it's unfortunate that we see them in the first place, but we always have to be prepared to handle them. And also, too, we had an incident here in Raleigh not too long ago, a couple months ago, at Southeast Raleigh High School, where one student killed another student. It was a fight that went really bad, and one student got stabbed. And so I was there with Dr. Taylor, who's the superintendent for Wake County Schools, and we had to do kind of like a press conference to talk about what happened. Again, another very unfortunate situation, but that just kind of comes with the job and the things that I have to do in my role and in my position. So yeah, those are the two incidents that I can think of.
Wow, that is a lot of incidents. And the Southeast Raleigh one reminds me of what happened at my school, which was with two 8th graders. They got into a bad fight. One of them got into a concussion, and we don't know the rest. And that whole area was blocked off, so we couldn't go to any electives till that area was cleaned up.
Yes, it's very scary and it's traumatic for anybody who has to witness something like that, especially if it's serious. I mean, he suffered a concussion, this other child lost his life. That's hard for students and staff. One of my school resource officers was working that day, and she had to go in. She was the person who found the student that got stabbed, and she was trying to help him and perform CPR and all these various things. So it takes a lot of mental strength to be able to deal with that. It takes a toll on people when they have to deal with those types of situations.
Wow, that's very heavy.
It is.
As well. The last question that I have for you, last but not least, what would you say to kids that want to be police officers or chiefs?
Wow. I would tell them 100% it's a great job. It is an honorable profession to serve your community, to serve your city, to serve your country. I served in the military, as well as serving as a police officer, and I would highly, highly, highly encourage it. I think after George Floyd, we saw the number of people interested in public service go down quite a bit. I would like to re-energize that and tell people that this is a great profession because you have an awesome opportunity to impact lives, to help people, to save people, like you said, which every job doesn't allow you to do that, but this one does. I especially want to encourage women to enter into this field. You know, when I started out, I saw that one female officer. She's a friend of mine, actually. Now she is. At the time, she wasn't. And I saw just how well she carried herself. And I'm like, we need more women like that in the profession to show people that we can do the same thing that the men do. We have to do the exact same job. We have to know how to shoot. We have to be able to be fit and run and jump and make arrests and fight people when they fight us. All that is part of the job, but to be able as a woman to do that, like, that's super impressive. And so I do really want to encourage women to enter this field. I want to encourage people of color to enter into policing, because your police departments should look like your community. They should not just be one-sided, but they should look very much like your community. So if your community has a variety of different cultures, ethnicities, ages, that is what we want to see in a police department.
Speaking of enraging the community, I heard that you guys have I think it's a fundraiser or scholarship for kids who want to be chiefs or police officers. Can you please enlighten me more on that?
So with the Raleigh Police Department, there are scholarships that are available, but they're more on a state level. What we offer at the Raleigh Police Department are internships, which is an opportunity for you to come if you are a junior or senior in college and you want to get paid. We do paid internships, and you come and you work at the police department for a semester. You ride with police officers so you can see what it's about. You get this experience of being in that patrol car. Also, too, you work with our detectives, and everybody wants to be a detective. That's a super cool job to have, because you get to investigate homicides and robberies and, you know, aggravated assaults and that kind of thing. So you get to do that, but also, too, they get to go over to our special operations division where our SWAT team is, where our horse unit is, our Greenway officers, and they get to learn that aspect of the job, and that helps them to decide if policing is something that they really want to do. Also, too, during that internship, if they decide they want to be a police officer, we give them priority. So we hire them then to be in our next recruit class, and then they're on their way to becoming a police officer.
Wow, that is a lot of stuff. Well, thank you for taking your time here with me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Wow, well, thank you. It was an honor being here. You did a fantastic job. Your questions were right on point. I thought you were going to get me with some of those activist questions. I was a little bit nervous, but you did amazing. So thank you for having me.
No problem.